Hey guys, so today I'm going over on being careful with prophets that are out there claiming their word is from God, and as well as preachers. They believe strongly in what they believe in that it almost makes you want to believe in what they're saying because they believe so strongly that it is the right answer, that it is the right solution, but indeed it is not. Just because it sounded so good to them in their head that they're like, oh, God said it. Or preachers, they get a sermon out of something they read out of the Bible, but they completely mix it around and take it out of context. So I'll be going over all that in this video, so let's get started. Alright, so if you do learn in this video, then hit the like button so you can always learn something new in another video. And subscribe because it lets me know that you got something out of the channel and you'll always get updated for new videos that come out. And as well, if you want more content from Messenger, you can go on my TikTok or Instagram page. Link is in the description. And as well as my podcast that I make daily and my music is also down below in the description to check out. But anyway, let's get straight into it. So there are thousands of false prophets out there. And young people these days are really wanting to be prophetic because it makes them feel more closer to God because, well, they said something to me and not you. And us humans kind of like that authoritative kind of figure to show that, well, I know something you don't, and if you want to hear from God, well, he talks to me, not you. And so if you want to hear something, a word from him, talk to me and I'll tell you. Now, that's not just young people, but I pointed them out because churches nowadays are really showing off the gifts rather than the love and, the real reason of why we even follow God in the first place. But it seems like churches are to gain the gifts. Is church like about just gaining the gifts and gaining heaven, or is that just things that God gives you because you just love your creator and he's all you ever care about? Whether you get gifts or you don't get this or whatever, you still love him either way because he loved you first. It's sad to see that people think they're so on point but then so far off. Now, I can't tell you personally where you are with God, nor do I want to. That's something you and God discuss. And they may feel like a very strong believer, and then on Judgment Day, it takes a different turn. Being firm in a belief does not mean it's truth either. Or even a thought that this sounds good, this sounds like it could be true, it sounds like it could be from God. Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God, for many false prophets have gone out into the world. God is saying be careful and be attentive and, make sure that when you hear it, that it's actually from him and not just your own self. He's saying do your own test, read your own Bible, pray your own prayers. Does my word line up to what he's saying on stage? If not, then don't listen to it. Some Christians think that if they say, God told me this, God said this, I had a dream about this that he gave me last night, it tells other people that are listening, well, this must be truth if they're saying it's from God himself. And they're not willing to give a rebuttal of what you just said because they don't want to seem wrong. Because you called it so-called God said that. Which is why we need to have our own Christian walk and not have other Christians and preachers and prophets have you guys on a leash. Now, preachers like myself, our whole thing is to teach you about God and his characteristics of love and what Jesus did for you, that he gave his life to give you life, to fully walk in the full armor of God. And we just break it down and simplify it in different ways for different people to understand the same situation or different stories, and just break down the Bible and really look at it at what it truly is, and not just reading it like a book, but reading in the Spirit and getting things out of it and extracting things from it that other people don't get, because there are atheists that have read this Bible front and back and that's why they don't believe in it. If you read it like a book, you're really not going to get anything else but a story from it. But if you really, really let it speak to you, it'll be much more than that. Now, I can't make you love God truly, and nor does God want to do that either. God doesn't force himself for you to love him, because if he were to do that, then it wouldn't be genuine. It would be forceful slaves, right? If you watch anybody else's videos, or if you're watching my videos, obviously you are right now, then I don't want you to just grab everything. It's let your spirit discern truth and what's not. Make sure that it's lining up to this. If I'm preaching what it says in here, if I'm preaching or somebody else is preaching, or prophets are saying, if it's lining up to his word, if your spirit is letting you know that it's truth, and making your feelings not the priority of your life on what's good and what's not, and saying it's discernment. You have your own Christian walk. I encourage you, I help you to understand new things, to understand something, or get into something that you need help with. That's all we're here for, is to get you on your feet. Really, that's pretty much it, really. I've said really a lot. Read your Bible, pray, talk to him, spend time with him, rather than trying to activate these certain gifts. If you're trying to have this fullness of God, but then just trying to do these things physically, or just trying to do these things that you're able to do, literally you can do, but just having the love for him, and then everything just falls into place later. That's where we need to be, is right here, not focusing on other outside premises. Anyway, if you go by your feelings in your own head of who God is, and so that you think that it's him just for him, so you get like a slight thought of you thinking he said this, just so it can fit God can fit your worldly circumstances, rather than having to change your life around. You can't play God, and a lot of people try to play him and manipulate his word so that they can keep on living their life, or Christian life, without fully making that full step forward. And the more people that take these circumstances that they think God said, but it's just themselves making them comfortable where they are, that they're good, solid, that it'll be more harder for you to even wanting to move, for anybody to ever talk to you about God, because you're so firm in this place that you're not wanting to learn anything else, because it goes completely against what you want. Just really be careful on who you listen to, and really make sure that you grow your own relationship, rather than trying to get someone to do it for you, or them kind of forcing their own subjective thoughts to you. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inward are ravenous wolves, Matthew 7:15. But saying once again, be careful, even though they look and seem knowledgeable, like they have all the knowledge of God and all this and that, they have millions and millions of followers, and like I've said in the past, just because they have millions of followers, but how many of those millions of followers are following God? For such men are false apostles, deceitful workmen, disguising themselves as apostles of Christ. And no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. So it's no surprise if servants also disguise themselves as servants of righteousness. Their end of this life will correspond to their deeds. Even Satan goes to church to manipulate God's word. He's like, oh great, we're still talking about Jesus. They think it's truth, but we're taken out of context. They think it's righteousness just because it feels right in their head, and it's false. But wow, is it such a beautiful sermon to hear. But the Spirit of God is fully aware that it's absolute trash. That's why we say live in the Spirit. But I say walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. And not only categorizing that verse as like lust and doing those type of sins out in the world, the fleshly desires, but also emotions too, and pretty much the way you live your life. You live in your fleshly body, of course, but you don't live by this. Do not gratify the desires. Do not lean on your own understanding, and make your own religion in your head of what truth is. See this cross? Well, you can see it as a symbol of love and mercy for every single one of us. And you can see it also as a T, truth. It's what he was, and that's what he did. And if we ought to walk like he did, then we need to walk in truth. Going back to prophetics, and they give a word that they said God told them. But how do you differentiate if it was truth or if it's not? Because you didn't get the word yourself. Your spirit discerns truth. God's not going to let you just hang there and see if you're going to figure it out yourself. He's going to help you out, and your spirit's going to let you know that that's garbage, or that's what you really need to be hearing. And also, we see that the millionaire preachers that are out there and prophets, they speak nothing but absolute garbage, but somehow have millions of followers following their every word. And that's just because it sounds good, because your head sees it as such a beautiful message, but your spirit is saying there's no fruit here. There's nothing there. It's just a bunch of nonsense. Satan is being extremely smart if you allow him to be, because they're literally eating in the palm of his hand. We're in church, we're talking about God, we're reading the Bible, but then manipulating it and saying this is truth. And this is why we have like Christians falling back, is because we have lukewarm preachers and prophets going to these people. And that happens a lot. Preachers and prophets really need to get off their high horse, because they're hurting a lot of people thinking that they're helping, and they really are not. And this is why preachers are judged harsher, because, well, we're giving you something about God, failing, or we aren't. Not many of you should become teachers, my brothers, for you know that we who teach will be judged with great strictness. Now, I'm okay with that. I know what I teach. I do my research, I read and make sure that it lines up. I don't manipulate anything, I don't mix, I don't take things out of context. I don't put my feelings into these type of things to try to get to your emotional side or anything like that. Just pouring out love and the passion that I have for wanting to teach y'all these type of things and all, whole sorts of stuff. Because I really want to help y'all understand this, because this is very, very important. He's the reason why we breathe. I don't teach y'all to live right. I live y'all to live righteously. That's what's important, and that's where we need to be at. There are two different things, but Christians mix those on a daily basis. They always try to be right in a conversation talking about God, and that's why conflict happens, because more people are wanting to be right rather than the one person that's way over here not wanting to be involved over here, and so happens that this person is righteous because he is not trying to fight and be the right one, because he knows God. He knows righteousness, and it has no anger and it has no fighting and verbally trying to prove people that I know something and you're completely wrong. You need to go pray. You have no idea what you're talking about. I was wanting to give one quick example of a very famous prophecy was that Trump was going to be president, and a lot of prophets claim that he would be, like right now. But he isn't, and many famous prophets claim that he would be, and it has nothing to do with, our votes, and all that stuff. No. If he says it's in his hands, then it is. If he says he will be, then he will be. If he says he will be president, it's not going to be based off of he will be president, but your votes need to matter too. Well, sure, but if he says something and says this is going to happen, it's going to happen. He won't just say it and then not, live up to what he just said. And what it is a lot of people, a lot of them get their feelings involved when they want something, and then they think God said that, but it's just in their back of their head nonstop. And then the more you think about it, the more you just try to extract everything until it may sound to your head that he said it to you. Even though I voted for Trump, I'm not going political here, but they claimed God said so, that he would. And he did the first time, and he was. And if he did things that the Bible did say that would come to pass. The Bible does claim that traumatizing things will take place in this life, and it's coming pretty fast. We all know that. Abortions are now legal. Same-sex marriage, identity crisis here. You'll see where I'm going with this, but, whoever takes a human life surely be put to death. Now, the voters that voted for all this to happen, they didn't kill the babies, they just voted, right? They didn't take the life, but they allowed people to do it. So it's like giving them the tools to be able to kill a human life. And that's where God extremely hates that. That's a life. I don't see how that's not as serious as it should be. And they may like other stuff that this person had in his, that he said he was going to do, but then kill the babies was one of the things that they didn't like. But whether you like it or not, allowing is still going to happen, no matter if you enjoy it or not. It's almost like, yeah, they're going to do this, but he has some good stuff for me. So it's almost like being selfish, understanding that this person is going to do this to so many human lives, but yet I get something good out of it. When a prophet speaks in the name of the Lord, if the word does not come to pass or come true, that is a word that the Lord has not spoken. And a lot of people, since they said that he would be, God didn't speak to none of them. None. And there's hundreds of prophets that said that God told them that. God can interfere in these types of things, and we've seen it plenty of times. But he also gives us the power to do the will of God. And in Revelations, it goes over evil making itself comfortable at the end of time. And kind of off topic, but I want to really say this before the video ends. But like I've said in my previous video, emotions and, putting your emotions with God and trying to put them together, it will just contradict everything. And emotions are temporary satisfactions. It's never permanent. There isn't anything worth there. It'll just go away. Like with any other day, one day you're happy, the next you're stressed, the next hour you're sad about something. Your emotions are always changing all the time. That's why he says, live by the Spirit and faith alone. Everything will be brought without having second thoughts of anything. Listen to God, be attentive to his word, and deceit, truth or not. Churches are moving away from God and moving to themselves and talking about them. Churches can be beautiful if they're talking about Jesus and what he's done for us, and how much he loves us, and the whole reason of him being sent here in the flesh, and how much God loves us, our creator, and everything. Then that's what we need to hear, and being openly just worship him in this time. That's what you need. Fruit to take with you when you leave the building, rather than being filled with emptiness. Fellowship with like-minded believers, and here's a video where I talk about fellowship and how important that is. But like I've said, be very careful on who you listen to, whether you've listened to them for 10 years or you just started listening to this new person that has a lot of followers. Really be careful, live in the Spirit, so that you can discern whether it's from God or whether it's not, because this world is going nuts. And like I always say, it's garbage. But we live in this world so that we can change that around by the power of God. So if you did enjoy this video, hit the like button and the subscribe button so you don't miss another video just like this one. I hope to see y'all in the next video. Messenger out.